Woke up to find myself worth hundreds of billions and 20 years older. Unfortunately, I'm a blind and heartless cannon fodder CEO. The fake heiress is doted on by the whole family, while the real one can't even get a meal. The fake heiress framed the real one, and the whole family sided with her, driving the real heiress out of the house. Finally, the true heiress jumped to her death. I just felt sorry for the true heiress for a moment, never expecting to have transmigrated into her father. I don't even have a girlfriend myself. How am I supposed to take care of a 15-year-old girl? I've summed it up in one word: just spoil her, that's all. From today on, the doting father is officially online. What was owed to her, take it back. Those who bullied her, get out. As for that biased son and the blind fiancé, just wait and see. The result of a hangover is a splitting headache. I rubbed my temples, trying to dispel the dull pain. Suddenly, a pair of soft hands gently pressed against my temples. I instinctively turned my head away, meeting a gentle and concerned face. Who is she? How is she? At this very moment, a flood of unfamiliar memories surged into my mind. Chandler, is your head hurting again? She asked softly, her tone filled with familiar concern. I stood frozen in place, letting her continue the massage, but inside, I was already in turmoil. After digesting the memories, I just wanted to curse. The insults were extremely harsh. I actually transmigrated into the cannon fodder CEO from that True and False Heiress novel I complained about last night. Chandler Wang, a foolish father who was blind and ignorant, ultimately leading to the ruin of his family. And now, it's the beginning of the plot. The biological daughter of the original owner, Rose, came to the door, but the whole family gathered around the fake heiress Winnie, who had taken her place, to comfort her. Leaving the real heiress out in the cold, in the memory, the original owner's scoundrel son, Sam, publicly declared, I only have one sister, and that's Winnie. The original owner's wife, the beautiful Lady Wendy beside me, complained that her biological daughter smelled bad, and the original owner himself, the head of the household, coldly ordered the butler to conduct a paternity test, then discarded the child like trash in a corner, ignoring and neglecting them. This family is simply... I looked up toward the main door. The child stood there, wearing tattered clothes that barely covered his body, his bare feet scraped and bleeding, stained with mud and dirt. His frail figure looked so pitiful under the wide doorframe. How could they just turn a blind eye? I irritably ran my hand through my hair. Good heavens, I'm a freshly graduated college student who hasn't even had a girlfriend. And suddenly I'm the father of a 15-year-old girl. Still this kind of hellish difficulty start. How should I take care of this sensitive, long-suffering little girl, waiting online? I'm really freaking out. I raised my hand to push Wendy's hand away and stood up abruptly. Under her stunned gaze, I walked straight toward the little girl standing in the shadowy corner by the entrance. I slowly crouched down, reached out my hand, and gently ruffled her dry hair. My voice carried unmistakable guilt and determination. I'm your dad. It's my fault for losing you. The girl's frail body trembled violently. She lowered her head even further, her voice as faint as a mosquito's hum, mixed with sobs and uncertainty. You don't think I'm a fraud? My heart was wrenched by these words. What a sin. I took a deep breath, carefully cupped her small face with both hands, and gently wiped away the warm tears that kept falling with my fingertips. Silly child, I said in a low, gentle voice. Tell Daddy, what could you possibly have lied to me about? At this moment, heartache and anger nearly overwhelmed me. The Wang family is truly inhuman. I spit on them. This girl before me was switched at birth by the Wang family's malicious servant with their own granddaughter. She suffered abuse in the Wang family, taking on all the household chores, feeding pigs, farming, and caring for her younger siblings. She never finished middle school before being sold by that family to a simple-minded man in the neighboring village. It was only in a desperate attempt to escape that she accidentally learned the truth about her origins. Clinging to a last shred of hope for familial love, she endured countless hardships to find her way here. She had hoped to find warmth and shelter, but reality plunged her into an even deeper abyss. Her biological parents looked down on her, and her own brother despised her. The fake daughter framed her, and the whole family sided with the fake daughter. Refusing to listen to any of her explanations, in the end, she was driven out of the Wang family and jumped to her death. Fortunately, now it's me who's here. Although I'm a single person who has never even been in a relationship and have no experience in taking care of children, however, who doesn't know how to spoil a child, I took the little girl to the guest bathroom, filled the tub with hot water, tested the temperature, And found clean, soft towels and a new bathrobe. The water is ready. Take a good bath, I said, trying to keep my voice gentle. Dad is right outside, don't be afraid. Exiting the bathroom, I immediately called for the most composed and reliable maid. Lucy, Lucy, go in and carefully help the young lady wash up. Be gentle. She has injuries. Also, find her a suitable set of clean clothes. Yes, sir, Lucy responded and went inside. As soon as I closed the door and turned around, Sam's suppressed anger hit me like a wave. Dad, do you have any idea what you're doing? For someone whose background is completely unknown, Chandler, Wendy also stepped forward with a frown, her tone disapproving and concerned. Isn't this too hasty? At least wait until the test results come out. Look, Winnie is terrified. Beside her, Winnie immediately played along, her eyes reddening as she tugged at Wendy's sleeve. Her voice was full of grievance and fear. Daddy, are you abandoning Winnie? Watching the three of them putting on a united front, and thinking of Rose's suffering and the despair in her eyes just moments ago, the fury in my heart could no longer be contained. Without any warning, I suddenly raised my hand, slap, and delivered an extremely loud slap across Sam's face, completely stunning him. Immediately after, I backhanded another slap, just as sharp and fierce, onto the face of Winnie, who was still pretending to be pitiful. Making her stagger and turning her fake tears into real ones, Wendy screamed, Chandler, have you lost your mind? Am I crazy? I turned sharply to her, my gaze icy, pointing toward the bathroom. My voice was filled with fury, yet kept dangerously low. Wendy, open your eyes and see clearly. The child in there, covered in wounds, dressed in rags, with bleeding feet, is the daughter you carried for 10 months and gave birth to. Can you not imagine the torment she has endured for the past 15 years? How can you still have the heart to pity this impostor here? Are you blind? Huh? I took a step closer, my tone menacing. If these eyes of yours are only good for watching such hypocritical performances, I wouldn't mind helping you donate them. Before she could react, I abruptly turned to look at Sam, who was covering her face, her eyes filled with disbelief. And you, Sam, has your heart been eaten by a dog? The one inside is your own flesh and blood sister. You don't care about how much she has suffered, you don't feel for the pain she's endured, and instead, you're here yelling at me for a fake who stole 15 years of her life. The one who swapped the children was this fake's own grandmother. It was her family who made your sister suffer so much, and now you feel sorry for her. You're as foolish as a pig. My gaze was icy cold as I let out a scornful laugh. All of you, get out of my sight. Don't stand here being an eyesore. If anyone dares to say another word of nonsense, get out with me. The paternity test results were entirely predictable. I gently placed the report in front of the little girl, looked into her uneasy eyes, and said softly, from today on, your name is Rose. Rose as in the fragrant orchid by the shore, Rose as in a heart as gentle as water. This is the name your father had in mind for you even before you were born, after settling the identity matter. The next step was to settle the score. Without hesitation, I immediately had the old servant who maliciously swapped the child all those years ago taken to the Public Security Bureau. Winnie rushed forward at once, crying pitifully, Dad, please don't, I beg you, Grandma is old now, she knows she was wrong. Wendy looked sympathetic and stepped forward, speaking softly to persuade him, Chandler, it's been so many years, and she's already learned her lesson, maybe, just let it go. Making a big fuss won't be good for the family's reputation. Sam also frowned and chimed in, yes, Dad, why make such a big deal over something that happened in the past? It will only upset Winnie. I sneered inwardly. In the original story, it was exactly like this. The fake cries, the family persuades, and the original owner softens and compromises, letting the wrongdoer get away with it. But I am not the original owner. The wicked should be punished severely. Let it go. I swept my gaze over them, my voice icy. She swapped my Wang family's bloodline, subjected my daughter to 15 years of inhuman torment in the Wang family, and you think a simple, let it go, will settle it? Have you all lost your minds? Not only did I insist on bringing the malicious servant to justice, but I also had my lawyer directly sue the Wang family for abuse and child abduction. Dad, what are you doing again? Sam actually tried to stop me. After all, they are Winnie's family. How will Winnie face this in the future? How heartbroken will she be? At this moment, I felt extreme anger at Sam's foolishness and bias. I abruptly pulled over the silent Rose beside me, gently rolling up her sleeve to reveal the terrifying, densely packed scars. both old and new, on her frail arm. "Look, open your eyes and see clearly." My voice trembled with anger. "This is how the Wang family raised my daughter. Doesn't it break your heart? Don't they deserve to be punished?" Wendy looked at the scars and instinctively gasped, a flicker of genuine heartache and shock finally appearing in her eyes. As for Sam, he only furrowed his brow more deeply, yet stubbornly insisted, "But Winnie, Vivian, is that fake the only one in your heart?" Overwhelming rage instantly shattered my reason. Without a second thought, I lifted my foot and kicked him hard in the stomach. Caught off guard, Sam was directly kicked, staggering and falling to the ground. His face full of shock and pain. I didn't look at them again, taking Rose's hand and turning to go upstairs. Looking into the little girl's clear yet timid eyes, he told her word by word, with utmost clarity, "Rose, remember, in this family, aside from your father's words, do not listen to anyone else. If anyone wrongs you, you must stand up for yourself on the spot. If the sky falls, your father will be there to support you. Your brother doesn't love you. And perhaps your mother doesn't love you enough, but your father loves you. If they don't love you, there's no need for you to compromise yourself to please them, understand?" The little girl looked up, blinked slowly, and finally nodded obediently and firmly. "Got it, Dad." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Sam and Wendy comforting the crying Winnie, and I curled my lip. Humph, the real show is yet to come. After dealing with the Wang family and the servants, I immediately began preparing for the family recognition banquet 3 days later. I want the entire Cloud City to know that Rose is my legitimate and cherished biological daughter, Chandler Wang. First, I have invited a top-tier team of designers, pointing to Rose, who was sitting quietly nearby. I instructed the designers, her formal dresses, casual wear, and all clothing and accessories must be of the finest quality. Her room is next to mine on the second floor. And I entrust its design to you as well. The style should be warm and comfortable, and all furniture and supplies must be environmentally friendly and safe. That's right, I have redesigned the layout of the residence. Originally, Sam and Winnie's rooms were both on the second floor, but I directly ordered them to move to the third floor. I completely renovated the entire second floor, transforming the best suite with the most natural light and a private large terrace next to the master bedroom into Rose's exclusive domain. It includes a spacious bedroom, a walk-in closet, and a quiet, bright study. I even went downstairs to the garden that Wendy had meticulously tended, looked at those expensive flowers, and without hesitation told the gardener, "Get rid of all of these." Everyone present was stunned. "Find out what flowers the young lady likes, replace them all, and plant her favorites." I paused for a moment and added, "Clear a spot under that big tree over there. I want to build a swing for her myself." The family reunion banquet proceeded as scheduled, with the elite of Y City gathering in full attendance. I held on to Rose, who was still a bit timid even after dressing up carefully, facing all the probing gazes head-on. Meanwhile, my good son Sam stood openly by Winnie's side, making his stance clear, and Bruce, who should have been Rose's fiancé, was also unapologetically holding Winnie's hand, their intimate posture blatantly telling everyone where his affections lay. Wendy looked at me and Rose, her brow furrowed. I ignored all of this, picked up the microphone, and my voice rang out clearly across the room. "Thank you all for being here. Today, I would like to formally introduce to everyone my long-lost treasure, my biological daughter, Rose." I wrapped my arm around Rose's shoulder, my palm conveying silent strength. At the same time, in light of the blood relation, the status of my adopted daughter, Winnie, will be removed from the Wang family registry, and she is to move out of the Wang residence immediately. As soon as the words were spoken, Sam, as expected, was the first to jump up, emotionally charged. "Dad, have you lost your mind? How could you treat Winnie like this? What has she done wrong? Just because she's not your biological daughter, she has to be humiliated like this." He then turned his anger toward Rose, glaring fiercely. "Rose, you've only been back for a few days and you've already stirred up trouble in the family. It's disgusting." He actually dared to speak so harshly. Serves him right to end up with his heart ripped out. I sneered inwardly, recalling his pitiful fate in the book. Later, he actually fell in love with Winnie, siding with her unconditionally in her disputes with Bruce, even going so far as to physically attack Bruce over it. What was the result? Winnie immediately stole the core secrets of the Wang family and handed them over to Bruce, causing the Wang family to collapse overnight and sink deep into debt. The original protagonist jumped to his death, while Wendy and he ended up homeless on the streets. ultimately meeting a tragic end in a shady clinic, with even their organs not being preserved. Truly, the wheel of fate turns, and retribution is just. I let out a cold laugh. Sam, it seems you still haven't figured out who your true blood relatives are, since you keep defending her and choose to stand by her side. I cast a sharp glance at him and the Winnie he was shielding. Then you and Winnie can both get out of the Wong family right now. Everyone was stunned by this sudden expulsion drama. At that moment, Bruce stepped forward with a frown, attempting to play the peacemaker. Uncle Wong, please calm down. Sam was just acting in the heat of the moment. Moreover, what the Wong family did truly has nothing to do with Winnie. She was just an ignorant infant at the time and is also a victim. Why must you take your anger out on her? I cut him off directly, my tone leaving no room for negotiation. That's precisely why I only removed her from the family registry instead of taking harsher measures against her. Otherwise, do you think she would still be standing here unscathed? I paused, my gaze sharp as a knife, piercing straight at him. Furthermore, Bruce, I see that you are blind in both eyes and heart, unable to even distinguish the most basic right from wrong. You are utterly unworthy of my daughter, Rose. The engagement between our families is hereby cancelled. My Wong family's daughter will not marry someone like you. In the original story, this man, for the sake of Winnie, repeatedly humiliated and belittled Rose countless times. He was no good guy. After the banquet ended, I directly ordered the bodyguards to drive Sam and Winnie out of the Wong family villa. Sam's face was full of disbelief, quickly followed by intense anger and resentment. Fine, we'll leave, Dad. You'll regret this. For the sake of this narrow-minded so-called biological daughter, you're even willing to drive out the son you raised with your own hands. He grabbed Winnie's wrist firmly, his tone resolute. Winnie, let's go. We don't need to beg him. We can survive just fine without the Wong family. Winnie, her eyes brimming with tears, still looked at me with desperate hope, her voice pleading, Dad, do you really not want me anymore? Don't beg him. Sam cut her off sharply, pulling her forcefully as he strode out. Wendy hurried forward, her voice choked with emotion. Chandler, are you really going to be this ruthless? Sam is our son, Winnie. I coldly shook off her hand and looked at her. Can't bear to part. You can leave with them. Wendy froze instantly, all her pleas stuck in her throat, leaving only silent tears and an unbelievable silence. She looked at the husband who seemed to have become a complete stranger overnight and, in the end, didn't dare to say another word. In fact, I even wanted to throw the divorce papers at her right away. In the book, Wendy is nothing but a complete and utter fool who can't see things clearly. The moment Winnie cries, she immediately softens and turns around to subject her own daughter, who has suffered for 15 years, to emotional coldness. She looks down on Rose for not being elegant enough, implying that she's not presentable, and even tacitly allows the servants to make things difficult for her. This kind of woman is simply not fit to be a mother. But if they divorce, Wendy will take half of the Wong family's assets. I don't want to give a single penny to this woman who is so cold and harsh to her own daughter. Looking back at the original host's marriage with Wendy, it was like a real-life version of Cinderella and Prince Charming. Back then, the original host, Chandler Wong, was the esteemed heir of the Wong family, while Wendy was a village girl with nothing but her looks. Their meeting was like something out of an idol drama. The original host accidentally hit her with his car, took her to the hospital, and over time, he became enchanted by Wendy's delicate and beautiful appearance. He defied his family to marry her, and for a while, it was hailed as a romantic tale. But after the fairy tale wedding, the truth turned out to be quite different. Wendy had almost nothing to offer beyond her stunning beauty and an overwhelming possessiveness. She frequently checked up on him, went through his phone, and was constantly suspicious. At the slightest hint of the original owner exchanging even a few words with any woman, she would fly into a hysterical rage, turning the entire household into chaos. I truly cannot understand how the original owner endured such a woman for so many years. She, in my eyes, only brings annoyance. I enrolled Rose in the best private school and hired experienced tutors to help her catch up on the classes she missed. At the same time, I exposed her extensively to the arts, painting, dance, piano, violin, allowing her to choose the fields she likes and cultivate them deeply. Every weekend, I take her to the company to expose her to business operations. I clearly told her, Rose, your father hopes you will inherit the Wong family. She asked in confusion, what about my brother? I snorted coldly, that love-struck fool, don't worry about him. Wendy saw that I was inseparable from Rose. and on top of that, I had long since moved to a separate room to sleep. Her twisted jealousy consumed her reason, taking advantage of my absence. Wendy cornered Rose. "You vixen," she snarled, raising her hand to slap Rose. "All you do is cling to your father all day." Trying to steal my man, Rose raised her hand, tightly grasping Wendy's hand, her gaze cold and mocking. "Your thoughts are so filthy it's disgusting. I am your own daughter, and you actually use such dirty ideas to speculate about me and Dad." Well said. I stood at the door, clapping my hands, and stepped closer to Rose, looking at her with an appreciative gaze. "It seems you're not only confused, but also insane." I looked at Wendy, whose face had turned pale, and said calmly, "Let's get a divorce." Upon hearing the word divorce, Wendy completely lost her composure. Pointing at me, she shrieked, "Divorce, Chandler Wang, you've fallen for her, haven't you? This is incest. Shameless, she's just a little vixen, here to seduce you." Slap. Without any hesitation, I slapped her with a sharp, resounding blow that sent her stumbling backward until she collided with the wall. "Are you sober now?" I immediately threw the photos the detective had sent me to her. They were photos of Wendy and her first love repeatedly entering and leaving a hotel. In the photos, the two were behaving intimately, having long crossed the line. Wendy looked at the scattered photos, her face as pale as paper, and collapsed to the ground. She suddenly threw herself at my feet, clinging to my calf, tears streaming down her face. "Chandler, I was wrong. It was him who seduced me first. I was just confused for a moment. Please forgive me this time, just this once. I won't get a divorce. I'd rather die than get a divorce." There was not a trace of emotion in my eyes as I mercilessly kicked Wendy away and walked off with Rose. I stopped at the doorway. "Wait. My lawyer will contact you." Sam and Winnie stopped me at the company's entrance. Both of them looked quite haggard. "Humph." I called and told all of Sam's friends not to lend him any money. "I won't acknowledge any money he borrows." Sam was the first to speak, with strong dissatisfaction. "Dad, how could you divorce Mom? Mom already knows she was wrong. She only said a few things about Rose. Why do you have to be so harsh?" Winnie, with red-rimmed eyes, chimed in from the side. "Dad, Mom already knows she was wrong. Please forgive her." It seems Wendy didn't tell them the truth. Seeing my stern expression and complete lack of sympathy, Sam abruptly changed his tone and pointed the finger at Rose. "Rose, how can you be so malicious? Mom only scolded you a few times. Was it really necessary to make such a fuss that Dad and Mom are getting divorced?" "Enough." I sharply cut off his slander, unwilling to hear another word, and immediately had security escort them out. Before long, topics like #Chandler Wang expels his own daughter and #Wang Group CEO decisively files for divorce quickly surged to the top of trending searches, causing a massive uproar. Netizens who were unaware of the truth were swayed by the narrative, and many accused me of being cold-blooded and heartless. Some even went as far as doxing and cyberbullying Rose. With all kinds of malicious speculations and curses directed at her, I was completely enraged. "Since you've chosen to sling mud in this way, don't blame me for being ruthless." I immediately posted the photos taken by the detective, showing Wendy and her lover entering and leaving the hotel, online. Along with them, I also released the complete surveillance footage and audio of that day when she confronted Rose at her doorstep, hurling insults like homewrecker and man-stealer at her. Public opinion instantly reversed. Hashtags like #Wendy cheats then plays victim and #toxic mother shames own daughter skyrocketed to the top of the trending searches. Netizens who had just been sympathizing with Wendy and vilifying Rose immediately turned their criticism around. Wendy endured online abuse far more intense, 10 times fiercer, than what Rose had faced, completely ruining her reputation. Even Sam and Winnie, who had interceded on her behalf, were exposed for their past biased and exclusionary behavior towards Rose. Drawing unanimous scorn and contempt across the internet, watching the torrent of online criticism, I felt no emotion in my eyes. All of this is nothing but the consequences of their own actions. Serves them right. Awesome. The official announcement from Y City is about to open the bidding for the Golden Land plot in the east of the city. When I saw this news, my spirits lifted. Is the climax and turning point from the original story finally about to arrive? The book clearly states. The Wang family staked their entire fortune on this bidding, determined to win, and ultimately succeeded in securing the bid. As a result, Just 1 month after construction began, an ancient burial site was discovered underground. All projects were indefinitely halted, and the massive funds invested up front were instantly frozen, resulting in a total loss. The Wang family suffered a severe blow and was on the verge of collapse. At this critical and chaotic moment, Winnie framed Rose for stealing confidential documents. Without listening to any explanation from Rose, the original head of the family drove her out. Battered and bruised, Winnie found Rose, who was now homeless and wandering the streets, humiliated her, and had thugs assault her. Rose, feeling that life was not worth living, jumped to her death. And now, I looked at the tender announcement and revealed a meaningful smile. Sam returned in tears to apologize to me, stating that he had severed ties with Winnie. I feigned hesitation but ultimately agreed to let him return, even allowing him to take on some company affairs. Watching the smile in his eyes, I let out a cold laugh. On the day of the bidding, the atmosphere was tense. When the host announced the bids, Wang Group's final offer turned out to be precisely hundreds of thousands lower than that of Brown Group. Bruce stood up with an air of triumph, taking the bid document, his face adorned with an undisguised victor's smile. Standing beside him were Winnie, beaming with pride, and Sam, whose evasive eyes still held a hint of smug satisfaction. The three of them walked directly toward me. Uncle Wang, thank you for your concession, Bruce said in a flippant, provocative tone. It seems experience doesn't always guarantee success. The land you had your eye on now belongs to the Brown family. Winnie nestled close to Bruce and added softly, Dad, don't be too upset. In business, wins and losses are just part of the game, yet the glee in her eyes was almost overflowing. Sam, on the other hand, stared straight into my eyes, his hatred growing wildly. Dad, this is fate. Watching this farce unfold before me, I wasn't angry but instead smiled faintly and gave a light round of applause. Well said. In the business world, wins and losses are indeed quite normal. My gaze swept over the smug Bruce, my tone tinged with a hint of pity. However, Nephew Brown, you're still too young. Sometimes, what you rush to step on isn't necessarily a gold mine. It could be a bottomless pit. I cast a meaningful glance at Sam and Winnie, then turned and left, leaving behind an enigmatic silhouette and the three of them exchanging uneasy, bewildered looks. I handed over the video evidence of Sam stealing the bid documents to the police, and he was quickly taken away for investigation. As the cold handcuffs clamped around Sam's wrist, his face was filled with shock and disbelief, as if even at that moment he still couldn't believe I had taken real action against him. Dad, you can't do this to me. I'm your own son. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. He was being led out by the police, struggling to look back, his cries filled with despair and fear. Wendy broke down upon hearing the news, disheveled. She knelt at the company entrance. Seeing me come out, she rushed forward and pleaded with me, her voice hoarse and desperate. Chandler, how could you sue Sam? He's the son you love the most. It's just a bidding document, isn't it? You didn't lose anything. Please drop the case. Otherwise, the whole city will laugh at the Wang family for having an heir with a criminal record. I stopped in my tracks, looking at her coldly. Heir? Who told you he is the Wang family's heir? After saying that, I ignored her stunned expression and walked away without looking back. A month later, the prime land that the Brown family had won in the bid was revealed to have a large-scale burial site underground, and all development projects were suspended indefinitely. The massive funds the Brown family had invested up front were instantly frozen, resulting in a total loss. The group's capital chain broke, and they suffered heavy losses, and this is only the beginning. Following the clues recorded in the book, I anonymously submitted the evidence I had long collected of the Brown family's tax evasion to the tax authorities. Bruce's father, the head of the Brown family, was consequently imprisoned. The Brown family was plunged into heavy debt overnight. Finally, another one solved. Who's next? Following the plot, I've elevated the Wang Group to new heights, with rapid business expansion and influence far surpassing the past. Rose also lived up to expectations and successfully got into a top university. I was happy for her and specially held a grand celebration banquet for her, inviting the elite of Y City to witness her important moment together. Midway through the banquet, a figure quietly appeared. It was Sam. He had spent a year in prison, and his demeanor had become much more composed. Shedding his former restlessness and arrogance, he walked up to Rose, his attitude sincere, and without saying much, simply offered his congratulations. I looked him over, nodded with satisfaction, and did not drive him away in public. tacitly allowing him to stay at the banquet. Afterward, I handed over the overseas branch to Sam to manage, clearly stating, "Go out and see the world, take good care of things over there, and don't come back without achievements." Soon after, Sam was sent abroad. I never expected the plot to be so powerful, bringing these three together once again. Rose, Bruce, and Winnie were admitted to the same university. At the opening ceremony, the confident and dazzling Rose became the center of attention. Bruce looked at her, his thoughts stirring, and he began to pursue her openly and boldly. Upon learning this, Winnie was furious and once again confronted Rose, shouting sharply, "You have no shame, you want to take everything, even someone else's boyfriend." Facing Winnie's insults, Rose was no longer the timid little girl she once was. Her eyes turned cold, and without hesitation, she slapped her with a resounding blow. Just as Bruce, who had rushed over, was about to speak, Rose raised her hand and slapped him just as swiftly. "Mind your own business, and mind hers," she said coldly. "Don't bother me again, otherwise." That evening, she mentioned it to me over the phone as if it were just an ordinary, amusing incident, speaking in a light tone. Upon hearing this, far from scolding her, I laughed heartily and said, "Well done, my daughter. Chandler Wang should have such courage and confidence." The next day, I made a decision and directly handed over one of my subsidiaries entirely to Rose to practice managing. "Take it and have some fun," I said as I handed her the documents, my tone relaxed yet filled with trust. "Use it to practice. Even if you lose money, it's on me, but I want to see if my daughter, who knows how to slap someone in the face, also knows how to fight a business war." I gave the order to intensify the collection of the remaining debts from the Brown family. Bruce was forced to spend his days rushing between various odd jobs, exhausted from repaying what seemed like endless debts, and no longer had the time to bother Rose. Next, I made some arrangements to have Bruce's former rivals frequently appear at the places where he worked, each time mocking and humiliating him to the fullest, crushing what little self-respect he had left. The successive blows seemed to have completely broken him. Not long after, it was rumored that Bruce was being kept. Upon learning of this, Winnie went to confront him, only to be violently beaten and thrown out. I seized the opportunity and sent someone to approach Winnie again, using sweet talk and false promises to easily swindle her out of her last bit of support. In the end, penniless and with nowhere to turn, Winnie tearfully begged Bruce to take her in. Bruce, who had long since undergone a drastic change in temperament, looked at her coldly and, without hesitation, handed her over like an object to another old man with peculiar tastes, all in exchange for personal gain. Upon receiving the final report from the detective, I looked at the tragic outcome of the two people in the photos, closed the page expressionlessly, and slowly stretched. On the day Rose graduated, Chandler Wang gave her a file folder. "My dear daughter, happy graduation. This is your graduation gift from Dad." Rose couldn't wait to open it. Inside were the share transfer agreement of the Wang Group and the appointment documents for the president. She looked at Chandler Wang in astonishment. "Dad, from now on, the company is in your hands." Chandler Wang patted her shoulder. "I've booked a flight for this afternoon to travel around the world. I've been exhausted all these years, and now I can finally relax." Rose smiled helplessly, feeling a surge of warmth in her heart. Since being recognized by the Wang family, her father had given her an unprecedented sense of security. She still remembered the fear and unease she felt when she first arrived at the Wang family. At that time, she stood in the magnificent living room, wearing faded clothes and bare, worn-out feet, like a beggar. The moment she saw Winnie in her princess dress, she knew she might never be accepted by this family. Sure enough, her brother Sam looked at her with disgust. Her mother Wendy made no effort to hide her disdain, and the man sitting expressionless on the sofa, her father, remained silent. At that moment, she thought they wouldn't accept her, that she would be driven out and left to wander again. However, the man stood up, walked over to her, crouched down, and said gently, "It's my fault for losing you." Those words alone caused all her grievances and unease to burst forth, and tears streamed down her face. Later, for her sake, her father drove away the brother who despised her and Winnie. When her mother humiliated her, her father decisively divorced. He defied all opposition and designated her as the Wang family heir, completely sidelining the brother who had opposed her at every turn. Her father gave her not just wealth and status, but also favoritism and confidence. "The greatest fortune of my life was meeting my father." Rose often thought this way. Later, she met someone she truly loved. When she first took him to meet her father, she was so nervous that her palms were sweating. The father carefully examined the young man, asking many questions, and finally revealed a satisfied smile. Not bad, not bad, much better than I was when I was young. I feel at ease and trusting my most precious treasure to you. Rose was so happy at that moment that she almost burst into tears. Later on, the father fell seriously ill. He passed away peacefully, holding her hand, and said, "Don't be sad, Dad has just gone to a better place." Rose was choked with sobs, but in her heart, she knew that perhaps her father had returned to the world from which he came. She knew that a kind soul resided within her father's body. Rose told no one. That kind soul often sneaks KFC late at night, plays honor of kings behind everyone's back, and curses under his breath. Although he has left, the love, strength, and confidence he left her are enough to support her in continuing to move forward bravely. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. When my wealthy biological brother found me, I, the true heiress, had been picking through trash for 8 years. I was hunched over, eating spoiled food I had dug out of a garbage bin, when my billionaire brother's expensive leather shoes stepped on my precious cardboard. He frowned, trying hard to conceal the disgust in his eyes. "Ella has cancer. Once she passes away, I'll bring you home." I kept chewing in my mouth and nodded with a smile, until my brother's birthday. I used the last of my money to buy him a birthday gift and also got a bouquet of flowers for Ella, but unexpectedly, I overheard my brother gently say to Ella, "Don't worry, Fiona won't find out that your cancer is fake. Delaying it for 3 to 5 years won't be a problem. She can live well without me, but you can't." He blew out the candle and made a wish. "I hope Ella stays by my side forever." I didn't push the door open but silently turned and left. His wish is about to come true, because I don't have 3 to 5 years left. On the 3rd day after my death, a video about me posted by a blogger went viral across the internet. This is the 18 years of a cancer patient, and it is also her entire life. Her brother gave Ella a bracelet worth 5 million, which made her laugh with joy. I couldn't bear to disturb their happiness. The moment I stepped out of the villa gate, I couldn't hold it in and spat a mouthful of blood onto the gift. It was just a cheap watch, but it broke my heart. I had spent 3 months collecting cardboard boxes to trade for it. I tried my best to wipe off the bloodstains, but when I caught sight of the cardboard boxes by the trash can, my old habits kicked in again. I had just bent down to pick up the cardboard when a man holding a camera suddenly blocked my path, shoving the lens almost right into my face. Exploring the underclass part 3, folks. How about filming this little girl picking up trash today? The man looked clean and handsome, but his strange gaze made me very uncomfortable. I quickly waved my hands repeatedly. "No, no, no." He directly flashed the payment code, $500 for a day's shoot, paid daily. Picking up trash is on hold. Making money comes first. I quickly took the money, afraid that if I delayed even a moment, he'd say he was just showing off earlier. The man avoided the camera and sneered, "Money talks." I grinned foolishly along. Actually, money is useless to those who are about to die. It's only useful to the living, and I don't have many days left to live. My name is Jack, and I'm a blogger who specializes in documenting the lives of the poor. "You look so thin, you must have been hungry for a long time. Let me take you to eat first." His voice, though excited, couldn't hide the calculation behind it as he pulled me toward the most upscale restaurant nearby. Only a splendid, luxurious building could highlight the embarrassment of the poor, attracting countless clicks and debates. As he wished, I timidly clutched the hem of my faded, washed-out clothes. "That's a place only the rich can enter. I've never been there." Jack's thin lips curled into a triumphant smile, as if he could already see the video going viral. Hee. I lied to him. "I come here often," rummaging through the trash with a dusty face. I watched my brother lead Ella, dressed like a princess, to dinner, every night. The restaurant would dump the leftovers into the trash bin, would squat by the door on time, waiting for my lucky feast. Once, I had an incredible stroke of luck and found a necklace in the leftovers. It was given to Ella by her brother, and it even has her name engraved on it. She thought the style was outdated and secretly threw it away without a second thought. Shamelessly, I picked it up and put it around my neck, admiring it over and over in the public restroom mirror. I'll just pretend it was a gift from my brother. While I was still lost in thought, I was half pushed, half led inside by Jack. As soon as I sat down, His camera was pointed at me again. "You look very young, why are you picking up trash? Don't you have a family?" I held up 2 fingers, inexplicably proud. "I've had 2 homes before." After a pause, I thought of my brother and raised another finger. "No, it's 3, Jack raised an eyebrow, his tone teasing. "That doesn't sound right. Shouldn't you be very happy then?" My nose felt a bit sore as I began to talk about my first family. At the age of 5, I was trafficked and sold to an elderly, childless couple in the mountains. Because I was a girl, I was cheap enough. The daughter of the wealthiest family in the capital was sold for just 1,000 yuan. But in the mountain village where sons are favored over daughters, being a girl was the original sin. I have endless sheep to herd and endless work to do every day. They have meat to eat, but they never share it with me. I only get to eat potatoes every day, 1 in the morning, 1 at noon, and half in the evening. When I was starving and begged for food from the villagers, someone made me kowtow and call him grandpa, then threw me leftover cornbread. Someone kicked me to the ground and told me to get lost. At night, I slept in the sheep pen. In the winter, without a blanket, I huddled close to the sheep for warmth. The doors and windows were low, and the family from the depths of my memory always flickered hazily through my tears. I tilted my head back to hold back the tears in my eyes, smiling proudly. You have no idea. Every time I was about to freeze or starve to death, I would dream of my parents and my brother. They were so good to me. My parents would give me my favorite toys, and my brother would hold me in his arms and call me little treasure. Jack's originally teasing smile froze on his face. The dishes are all served. All of them are the restaurant's specialties. He picked up a piece of spare ribs and placed it on my plate, his tone a bit awkward. "Let's eat first." I tried hard to suppress the churning in my stomach and shook my head proudly. "I don't eat meat." Jack was taken aback for a moment, then burst into laughter. "A little beggar is picky about food." "You don't even eat meat," I chuckled, but tears uncontrollably welled up in my eyes. At my adoptive father's house, the big yellow dog felt so sorry for me being so hungry that it always left half of its dog food for me to eat. I was just about to kowtow and call it Brother Dog. With Brother Dog looking out for me, I finally didn't have to go hungry anymore. To show my gratitude, I scrubbed his food bowl until it shone every day. The first time I tasted meat, it was the bones left by my foster parents. It was so delicious. I gnawed on it until my mouth was greasy. But then my foster father suddenly grinned at me, his yellow teeth menacing. "Tasty, isn't it? It's dog's meat. We slaughtered him, and he weighed 20 pounds. The minced meat in my mouth suddenly got stuck in my throat. I frantically clawed at my throat, vomiting until even bile came out. After finishing the story, I pushed the plate away with a flourish. Later, even when I could eat meat again, I never touched it. I quit. Jack stared at the pork rib, his Adam's apple bobbing. "And what happened after that?" Later on, I rested my chin on my hand, speaking in a light tone. "That night, my foster father sneaked into the sheep pen in the dark and tried to tear my clothes off. Luckily, I was quick-witted and brave. I grabbed a rake and cracked his head open. My foster father was furious and threatened to strangle me. So I slipped out through the dog hole that Big Yellow had dug before he passed away. Dog brother saved my life again." I said it lightly, but Jack's eyes gradually reddened. He abruptly waved to call the waiter over. "Take all the meat dishes away and replace them with all vegetarian options." The waiter looked utterly confused, but Jack grew angry. "What are you dawdling for? Can't you see how hungry the young lady is?" I ate very full during this meal, patting my round belly and letting out a burp. Before leaving, I called the waiter. "Don't throw away those meat dishes. Pack them up for me to take home." Hearing this, Jack's budding sympathy instantly turned into suspicion, and he said disdainfully to the camera, "Sure enough, she can't keep up the act anymore. Just finished telling a sad story, said she doesn't eat meat, and now she's packing it up. What a little liar." I turned a deaf ear, not even leaving a single scrap of meat behind, and packed everything into the takeout box. After the meal, Jack insisted on going to my house to film. The car stopped in a desolate garbage disposal site, where the frame of a burned-down shack stood in the center, with remnants of early winter snow still clinging to the roof tiles. That was my home. As soon as I got out of the car, I received a call from the student I was sponsoring. "Sis, I got the money. You really don't need to send that much. Do you have enough for yourself?" I patted my chest, raising my voice proudly. "Sis has money. I'm the daughter of the richest man, living in a mansion, driving a convertible sports car, eating delicacies from land and sea. You don't need to worry." Jack looked confused. scanning the foul-smelling garbage dump and covering his nose tightly. The mansion you mentioned, isn't this garbage dump, is it? Just tell me, is it big or not? He kicked my trash-collecting tricycle. Is this your convertible sports car? Never get stuck in traffic, low-carbon and eco-friendly. He curled his lip. The delicacies you mentioned are real, all right. They're just spoiled food dug out of the trash. Not even a dog would eat it. I'm not convinced. Clearing your plate is everyone's responsibility. He scoffed, just trying to save face, until he caught a glimpse of the transfer record on my phone, the $500 he had just sent me. I had transferred every last cent to that student. His hand holding the camera paused, and he silently followed me into the dilapidated house. The house was bare, yet exceptionally clean. The walls were covered with various donation certificates. The most eye-catching was a yellowed, old certificate for being the top student in the class. Jack counted the donation amounts on the certificates, which included both whole numbers and cents. Holy crap. You donated a total of $1,053,725.63. Some of it was donated by my grandmother. I corrected, you have a grandmother. Jack was very surprised. That is my second home. At the age of 10, I escaped my adoptive father's clutches but nearly froze to death on the streets. It was an old lady who collected scrap who took me home. She set the day she found me as my birthday. I finally have a home again. Grandma supported many students by collecting scrap, so even though she spent her whole life doing it, she remained very poor. But every day, she gave me milk and eggs, saying it would help me grow tall. I asked her to eat some too, but she shook her head and said she had already eaten. Grandma is a liar. She always eats cold steamed buns, so I lied to her too, pretending to have a small appetite and throwing half-finished milk and eggs into the trash out of a tantrum. She would always pick them up and eat them clean. And what about this certificate? Jack asked. I spent 5 years at my adoptive father's house without attending a single day of school, but the day after Grandma found me, she enrolled me in school. Grandma always said, how wonderful it would be if our Fiona could get first place. I studied with all my might. Finally, on my 13th birthday, I achieved first place. I rushed home, pushed open the door, and saw the steaming hot meal and the small cake on the table. But Grandma had collapsed on the floor and could no longer be woken up. The doctor said, if only I had come half an hour earlier. I always come home on time after school every day, but that day, I was half an hour late because I stayed to receive the first place award. Thinking of these, the familiar pain once again sweeps through my heart. My name is Fiona, yet it seems I can never grasp happiness in my life. I only came in first place once in my life, but it's a pity Grandma didn't get to see it. I believed that education could change my fate, but after Grandma passed away, I was afraid the children she sponsored would be left with no one to care for them, so I dropped out of school, took up Grandma's mission, and continued collecting trash to support their education, hoping they would find happiness in the future. It doesn't matter. I waved my hand, unsure if I was comforting anyone. Knowledge, for me, has only turned me from a happy pig into a suffering Socrates. I actually prefer being a pig. Jack's hands trembled so much he could barely hold the camera. Just as he was about to speak, I suddenly remembered something, quickly wiped away my tears, grabbed a stainless steel bowl, rushed outside, and banged it frantically. Dinner's ready. From all directions, countless stray cats and dogs instantly swarmed around me, circling affectionately. I carefully divided the leftover meat dishes into several broken bowls, watching them devour the food ravenously. Don't fight. There's enough for everyone. Jack stared at me in disbelief. You brought the food back, for them? Yeah, these are all my little brothers, I said with immense pride. In an instant, his face flushed bright red, and he fumbled to pull out his phone. I'm sorry, I'll transfer another 5,000 to you. After saying that, he hurriedly explained to the camera. This time, I'm really not putting on a show. I stared at the money, my eyes lighting up, and counted on my fingers while looking down. Then I still have to film with you for 10 more days. 10 days. I should still be able to make it. What about your third home? Jack's tone became cautious. I lifted my head, trying hard to recall. That could be considered my first home. I was born into the wealthiest family, but when I was 5, I was dragged into a van while trying to save my brother, who was being pulled away by human traffickers. Jack's mouth fell wide open. You were kidnapped by human traffickers because you were trying to save your brother. He quickly took out his phone and tapped on the screen, soon finding news about the wealthiest family in Jing City, the Newman family. Your parents, heartbroken over your disappearance, passed away one after another within a few years. Then your brother must have been searching for you all this time. After all, when he saw the news about Ella, his voice abruptly stopped. Your brother Jason adopted a girl 6 years ago, named her Ella, and treated her like his own sister. His voice grew lower and lower. I chuckled foolishly. Isn't it funny? My own brother found me, but he doesn't want me anymore. Then why don't you go find him? Jack yelled. I smiled, tears silently streaming down. I don't dare. Besides, I don't have time anymore. Jack was furious, pulling me to go confront my brother for justice. He must have been so angry he lost his mind. He didn't even bring the camera he always carries, just tightly gripping my hand. The warmth, in a daze, felt so much like that of my brother in my memories, standing at the entrance of the luxurious and imposing Newman family villa. I couldn't help but foolishly feel a glimmer of hope in my heart. Will my brother take me in? The butler led us inside, just as I reached the study door. I heard Ella's tearful, coquettish voice. What if Fiona throws a tantrum and insists on coming back? Would you abandon me, brother? Brother's voice was gentle and amused. I've raised you for 6 years, don't you know me by now? I'd sooner abandon Fiona than ever abandon you, Jason, you beast. Jack kicked the door open. The air instantly froze. My brother didn't even bother to lift his eyelids, his tone calm. Jack, right? I've looked into you, a small-time internet celebrity who relies entirely on gimmicks for clout. Go ahead. What do you want to do? Jack was so furious he was about to charge forward, but I held him back tightly. There are bodyguards outside. You'll be at a disadvantage. He gritted his teeth in anger, pointing at his brother's nose. I've done things for money, but I don't take just any money. But you, with all your wealth, didn't even care when your own sister was living on the streets and eating garbage. You're worse than a dog. My brother sneered, his gaze cold and piercing as it landed on me. Are you after money? I was about to say I wasn't there for money, but Ella suddenly rushed over and grabbed the necklace around my neck. Isn't this my necklace? It even has my name on it. You stole my things. I reached out and desperately protected the necklace. I didn't, I found it. Afraid that her brother would find out she had thrown the necklace away, she insisted I was a thief and fought desperately to snatch it back. In the midst of the struggle, my fingernail accidentally scraped Ella's hand. Slap. My brother rushed over and slapped me hard across the face. As expected, not raising you by my side means you have no manners. How dare you justify stealing? I froze. The burning pain on the cheek spread all the way to the heart. Jack was so furious that he yelled and was about to throw a punch, but was immediately pinned to the ground by the bodyguards. My brother pulled out a stack of cash and threw it at my face. After all, it's just about the money. Here you go. I said I would bring you back after Ella passed away. Do you have to disgust us in this way? Banknotes fluttered and flew all over the sky. A sudden sweetness surged in my throat, and I spat out a mouthful of blood onto the scattered banknotes. The red glaringly vivid. Could it be that I can't even hold on for 10 more days? So funny. At this moment, what I thought was, do I have to return Jack's money? Looking at the blood all over the floor, a flash of panic instantly crossed my brother's eyes. He was about to step forward but was tightly held back by Ella. You're quite the actress. Fiona even prepared a blood pack. Drama queen. Hearing this, the last trace of emotion in my brother's eyes vanished as he pointed to the door. Get out. Jack was about to argue, but I pulled him back and shook my head gently. It's fine, let's go. But before I could step out of the study, the world spun around me, and I fell heavily to the ground. In the last second of my fading consciousness, I heard my brother's cold, light laugh, playing dead so convincingly. When you really die, I'll come take you home. When I woke up in the hospital, Jack was sitting by the bed, his eyes swollen like 2 walnuts. Why didn't you tell me you have kidney cancer? Why, probably because, even as the so-called richest man's daughter, I still couldn't afford the treatment. A kidney transplant requires a large sum of money, and I'm just a worthless trash picker. The doctor nearby sighed softly. The patient is already in the late stage of kidney cancer. The only hope is a kidney transplant, which costs about $800,000. Moreover, whether a matching kidney can be found in time is still uncertain. Anyway, please also prepare for the aftermath. The surgery requires a large sum of money. Jack said he would help me raise the money. I wanted to refuse, but he firmly grasped my hand. His voice choked with emotion. Do you know, when I was 6 years old, my sister fell into the water, but I couldn't swim. I could only watch helplessly as she sank. That day, It wasn't just her who drowned, but me too, please. Just give me a chance, okay? I stared at him blankly and, as if possessed, blurted out, brother. He froze completely, tears instantly welling up. You, say it again, bro. Hey, my dear sister. He suddenly hugged me, crying so hard that his tears and snot soaked my shoulder. It seems like I have family again. Over the years as a blogger, he made a lot of money, but he spent even more. After all, there aren't many fools like him who casually throw away $5,000. Once aloof and proud, he started streaming day and night. He played the clown, barking like a dog for a pair of sunglasses and kowtowing for a virtual airplane gift. He kept it from me, but proudly boasted with a smile, look, I've made money, you're saved. I watched those clips of him being mocked online, and my heart ached so much. Brother, you don't have to do this for me. Yet he pretended to be deaf and foolish, continuing to earn money through live streams for his sister. He even sold his only house at a rock-bottom price and finally raised the 800,000 yuan. Happiness seems to have truly tiptoed in. The hospital notified us that a kidney match has been found and asked us to sign the surgery consent form. I was so excited that I didn't sleep a wink all night. There was only one thought echoing in my mind. I'm going to survive, and I have a brother now. Early the next morning, I went to the hospital entrance ahead of time to wait for Jack. Jack ran over, panting heavily, and looked at my face, which was purple from the cold. How long have you been waiting? I thought about it. 10 minutes. The security guard nearby couldn't help but expose me. What, 10 minutes? This girl has been standing here since before dawn, at least 4 hours. I just smiled. I didn't wait for 4 hours. I waited a full 18 years, just to finally have him. Yet, fate always deals me a heavy blow just as I'm on the verge of happiness, for some reason. My brother appeared in the doctor's office, holding a smug-looking Ella in his arms. I'm sorry, but your surgery can't be performed, the doctor said to me apologetically. It turned out that my brother had used all his connections to forcibly take the kidney that was originally meant for me and gave it to Ella, even though her illness was a complete lie from the very beginning. Fiona is really going to die. Why won't you leave her any chance to live? Jack rushed forward, grabbed his brother by the collar, and roared furiously. My brother only glanced at me very faintly and raised an eyebrow. We'll talk when you're dead. I want to see how long she can keep up the act. At this moment, I actually didn't feel that sad anymore. Even my own brother wishes for my death. Perhaps I really should die. After all, I've never had the right to choose. After his brother left, Jack knelt on the ground, crying like a fool. My heart ached as I held his head, gently stroking his hair, just as my mother had comforted me in my memories. It's okay, really, it's okay. I'll keep searching, all over the world. There must be another kidney donor, Jack vowed with reddened eyes. I smiled and nodded, even making an effort to flex my scrawny, pitiful biceps. Yeah, I can wait too. See, I'm in good health. After saying that, I turned around with feigned nonchalance. But a torrent of nosebleeds suddenly gushed out without warning. I scrambled to wipe it away. I know he's lying to me. The kidney donor won't come unless my brother donates it to me. I lied to him too. I can't wait any longer. I was too anxious, and I didn't wipe the nosebleed clean, smearing it on my upper lip like a little kitten. Jack choked up, reaching out to discreetly wipe my tears away. We had an unspoken understanding, each hiding our worries to spare the other from further distress. Fiona, Jack's voice was hoarse. I understand. I knew what he left unsaid and cut him off with a smile. Brother, the new year is almost here. Can I spend the remaining days outside the hospital? Let my brother capture the most beautiful moments of my life. That crybaby, he's crying again, nodding repeatedly through tears. With that money, he took me to so many places. My health is declining day by day. At first, I was still brave enough to ride the drop tower and go paragliding. In the camera, I was laughing freely and boldly. Later, I could no longer walk. He pushed me to see the lingering snow on the broken bridge at West Lake and to watch the snowflakes dancing at the foot of the snow-capped mountains. On my birthday, a girl I had sponsored got into college and wanted to come see me. She had thought her benefactor was a wealthy tycoon, but when she saw my emaciated self in a wheelchair, she covered her mouth and cried uncontrollably. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm not wealthy, just a beggar who collects trash. I tried my best to look presentable. She couldn't speak, took out a bottle of milk, inserted a straw, and brought it to my lips, but I no longer had the strength to drink. Fiona, I'm sorry, Jack knelt before me, apologizing over and over again. I pray to God every day for a miracle, but it never happens. I grinned foolishly. God isn't as good as my brother, is he? Jack wiped away his tears forcefully and asked me, let's not talk about that. It's your birthday today. What's your birthday wish? I tilted my head and quipped, give me a resurrection scroll. Then he lowered his eyes again. If not, then forget it. In the next life, I want to be a flower, a fish, a bird in flight. I just don't want to be human anymore. Being human is too hard. I won't come back in the next life. I never expected Jack to be not only a crybaby but also so stubborn. He actually went abroad, trying to find a glimmer of hope for me. He promised to return before New Year's Eve to celebrate the new year with me, but I've been vomiting blood all night, and my life is now counting down. The iron door was kicked open with a loud bang, and I thought Jack had returned. Instead, I saw my brother standing outside the door, his gaze colder than the wind and snow. Didn't you say you were going to die? Why aren't you dead yet? Ella stood behind him, pouting, looking aggrieved. I knew she was faking it. Now she's achieved her goal. My brother feels sorry for her and is even taking her back for the new year. Humph. My brother didn't respond to her, just looked at me teasingly, as if he could see right through my thin frame beneath the thick cotton coat. He frowned and said, you know how to steal Ella's necklace. But you don't know how to eat more. You're as skinny as a stick. It's hideous. Then he walked over and tried to grab my hand. Come on, come back with me, have a reunion dinner, and then you can come back. I struggled to dodge to the side and said calmly, I don't need it. I want to wait for Brother Jack to come back. I'm afraid he won't be able to find me. Hearing that name, my brother gritted his teeth, looking very angry. You don't know what's good for you, then don't ever come back. He turned away so resolutely, seeing that I had no intention of stopping him. He paused at the door, hesitating as if wanting to say something. Don't you have anything to say to me? I had no idea. I just looked at him and suddenly felt an overwhelming urge to sigh. In the past, there were countless words, accumulated over more than 10 years, until now, I found that words can no longer express the sorrow in my heart, feeling my physical strength rapidly fading. I reached out my hand as if guided by some unseen force. Brother, can you hold me, please? He was probably frozen senseless. He really came towards me, with his arms wide open. Behind me, Ella ran out crying. He finally stopped in his tracks, then turned and chased after her. That embrace I had longed for 18 years. I never did get to experience it. The wind and snow rushed in through the door, blurring my vision. I looked at the two sets of footprints, one in front of the other, in the snow. How I wished the girl he was following so closely was me. I followed the footprints, limping along, not knowing who I was chasing, nor what I was doing. When I reached a park, I couldn't walk any further. I sprawled out and sat on a park bench. The snow was so heavy, the entire city is lit up, and in the distance, the streets are filled with the song, Gong Shi Fa Kai. Amid the joyful atmosphere, I smile and slowly close my eyes. In a daze, I see an elderly woman carrying a woven plastic bag. Hobbling toward me, Fiona, why are you sitting here all alone? It's Grandma. I ran over crying and hugged her tightly. Grandma smiled and patted my head. Good Fiona, Grandma is here to take you home. Woof, woof, woof. In the snow-covered landscape, my dog wagged its tail, drool flying far and wide. Brother dog. I crouched down, and it pounced on me, knocking me into the snow. So happy. Fiona, have never been this happy in my entire life. I died at the happiest moment. The heavy snow buried poverty, buried dignity, buried all the humble and shattered dreams. When my body was found by a passerby, it had already frozen into an ice sculpture. Countless stray cats and dogs I once fed gathered around me, trying to warm me with their little body heat. But the snowstorm was too fierce, and they all froze to death around me. Survival is an animal's instinct. Yet they were willing to defy that instinct to love me. Only my family did not love me. Jack did not break his promise. When the New Year's bell rang, he found me in the park. I was frozen to the bench. The little sister he used to lift with one hand was now too heavy for him to even carry. He knelt before me, weeping, pounding the ground again and again until his blood stained the snow red. I'm so useless. I'm so useless. He went to great lengths to bring me back home, that junkyard where we first met. The room was very warm. He was afraid I'd get cold, so he burned a lot of charcoal. But all the doors and windows were tightly shut. He didn't want to live anymore either. smoke gradually filled the entire room, and he leaned against me, his gaze slowly fading, until the ice chips in my hand melted, and a suicide note fell from my palm. He suddenly opened his eyes, a renewed hope burning within them, and struggled to pick up that suicide note. The delicate handwriting was covered with tear stains. Brother, by the time you read this letter, I will have already gone to find Grandma and Big Yellow. Please don't be sad, don't grieve. Didn't you ask me about my birthday wish? I'll tell you now. I hope that after I die, my brother can continue to support those students for me. Heidi is in her first year of junior high school. Every day, she still has to go up the mountain to cut pig grass. If we send her 500 yuan each month, her family won't make her cut pig grass anymore, and she'll have more time to study. Her grades are very good. Mia is in her second year of high school. Her family promised me that as long as I give them 800 yuan each month, they won't force her to marry the old bachelor. The girls' school founded by Principal Zhang has hundreds and thousands of girls like Heidi and Mia. I donate 20,000 yuan to them every year. If it's too difficult for you, brother, don't push yourself too hard. You can sell my trash collecting tricycle. I've asked around, and it can fetch 150 yuan. The old man who buys second-hand tricycles is quite cunning, so be careful not to get cheated, brother. Just think of me as seeking fame. If there's ever an award for good deeds, just write my name on it. Sincerely, Fiona. Tears fell like rain onto the letter. Jack snapped back to reality, staggering as he opened the doors and windows one by one, desperately gasping for fresh air. I actually tricked him again. I went through all the trouble of writing so many words just to give him a reason to live. I know him too well. On the first day after my death, Jack uploaded the video he had recorded online. He thought for a moment and came up with a title for these videos. This is 18 years of a cancer patient, and it is also her entire life. As he had initially expected, the video went viral as soon as it was released, yet, he couldn't feel the slightest bit of happiness. The day after I died, countless netizens donated money, wanting to fulfill my last wish on my behalf. He established a foundation to support impoverished students in my name. 3 days after my death, Jack still couldn't have me cremated. Cremation required the signature of an immediate family member on the cremation certificate. With no other choice, he had to go find my brother. The elder brother is hosting a grand coming-of-age ceremony for Ella. In the luxurious villa, glasses clinked and delicacies were served. The elder brother gifted her a Maserati convertible. At the peak of the celebration, Jack rode in on a tricycle, carrying my corpse, and barged straight in. The butler couldn't stop him. Jason, Fiona is already dead. I've sent her home. A loud shout cut through all the noise. Everyone turned to look. After seeing who it was, Ella wiped away tears in grievance. Brother, it's that scheming woman again. My brother held a champagne glass, his gaze sweeping over my corpse as he sneered. This is Fiona's idea again, isn't it? Picking such a fine day like Ella's coming-of-age ceremony to cause trouble. Jack said nothing, only looked at him. My brother didn't believe it and reached out to pull my corpse. Stop pretending, it's disgusting. Bang, went the sound. The touch was icy cold and stiff. The face deathly pale without a trace of life. He suddenly collapsed to the ground, reaching out to check my breath. There was not the slightest movement. Dead, Fiona, really dead. Impossible, impossible. He staggered to his feet, grabbing Jack by the collar. I knew you were up to no good. Did you kill my sister? Jack shoved him away, pulled out his phone, opened an account, and threw it in his face. See for yourself. The whole world knows how miserable Fiona was, only you had no idea. His hands trembling, the brother tapped to play the video. Frame by frame, images flashed before his eyes, and he shook his head in disbelief. Impossible. This must be fake. I don't believe it. The guests who had come to offer congratulations immediately erupted in a chorus of curses. I never expected him to be this kind of person, abandoning his own sister and spoiling an adopted one to no end. Exactly. I saw that video too, and I had no idea it was his sister at first. If I had known, I wouldn't have celebrated that imposter's birthday even if it were for a dog. The brother is living the high life as the richest man, while the sister is picking through trash as a beggar. No one would believe it if you told them. The brother kept denying it. Impossible. If she was struggling so much, why didn't she tell me? I always thought she was just acting to gain sympathy. At that moment, countless netizens who had seen the video also flooded into the villa. One of them raised their phone. I know why she didn't dare to tell you. This was recorded by my car's dashcam. See for yourself. In the footage, Ella surrounded me in the landfill with a few thugs, kicking and punching me. She kicked me several times fiercely, her voice menacing. If you dare look for my brother again, I'll beat you every time you do. Fiona, since you got cancer, just wait to die quietly. Why do you have to cling to my brother? His sister can only be me. Before leaving, she even set fire to the shabby house I was living in. Her brother, with red-rimmed eyes, glared at Ella. It's you, you're the one who killed Fiona. Ella's face turned deathly pale, and he stepped back in fear. No, I didn't. I know nothing about it. Jason, you also killed Fiona, Jack said coldly. Fiona really had kidney cancer. She could have had a kidney transplant, but you took away her hope. One sentence ignited all of her brother's rage. He instantly understood everything and rushed forward, choking Xinyan's neck tightly. You knew all along that Fiona had cancer, yet you threatened her not to tell me. You even suggested to me that you pretend to have cancer, so we wouldn't bring Fiona home. You said Fiona was faking her illness to gain sympathy, and you incited me to take Fiona's kidney donation. It's all your fault. Ella was nearly choked to death, and it took 3 or 5 people to pull her brother away. He fell to his knees before my corpse and grabbed my hand. Brother was wrong. Brother will donate a kidney to you. Brother will give you everything. Just come back. He remembered how I begged for a hug in the wind and snow, and held my cold, lifeless body tightly in his arms. Brother will hold you, however you want. I regret it so much. I regret it so much. Brother shouldn't have lied to you. Brother shouldn't have taken your kidney donor. It was brother who caused your death. Wake up. I'll give you anything you want, please. Jack, with reddened eyes, laughed out loud. Half a month ago, she only needed 8,000,000 for surgery and a kidney donor, but now she doesn't need it anymore. Every year, you only need to spend $80 to buy her a bouquet of flowers. After saying this, he turned and left without looking back. The noise faded away. My brother watched the videos about me in Jack's account over and over again, dozens of times, including the suicide note I left for Jack. He scrutinized it word by word, only to find that the pages were filled with mentions of brother, yet not a single word was meant for him. On the day of my funeral, all the students I had sponsored came. My brother silently handled the entire process and then returned home. Ella was locked in the basement by him, crying with tears all over her face. Brother, I am your most beloved sister. You said that even if you abandoned Fiona, you would never abandon me, brother. How could you break your promise? Brother could no longer bear to listen and said to the private doctor, since she wants a kidney so badly, then remove her kidney. No anesthesia, no sutures. The screams from the basement lasted for a day. Ella lay in a pool of blood, her curses growing weaker day by day. Jason, you beast. It was you who killed Fiona. You hid it from your parents, too afraid to admit that you were the one who caused Fiona to be abducted. You adopted me just to ease your guilt over Fiona. You were too afraid to face her, so you deliberately avoided it and never brought her home. What does that have to do with me? You're the one who should be a beggar. You stole her life, yet you blame everything on me. Jason, you deserve to die. You're the one who deserves it the most. Until there was no more sound, my brother has gone mad. The one who used to care the most about his appearance has become unkempt. He asks everyone he meets. My sister is lost. Have you seen her? I need to find her and bring her back. But who on the entire internet doesn't know him as the top-tier scumbag brother? What awaits him is often nothing but scorn and beatings. He searched for a full 6 months, yet found nothing. His sister had once again vanished from his world. 13 years later, under the low-hanging night stars, my brother played my videos day after day on his phone. On the screen, I beamed brightly and boasted, "You have no idea." Every time I was nearly freezing or starving to death, I would dream of my parents and my brother. They were so good to me. My parents would give me my favorite toys, and my brother would hold me in his arms and call me little treasure. He flicked the lighter and set a corner of the window curtain on fire. As the flames rose, he smiled at my image and said, "Little sister, your brother is here to apologize to you." The fire consumed everything. While Jack was teaching in a remote mountainous area, his brother's lawyer found him. Before his death, Mr. Xing left a will, bequeathing all his assets to the foundation funded by Miss Fiona. A year later, Jack placed a charity star trophy inscribed with my name in front of my tombstone and smiled as he gently touched my photo, just like in the old days. "Sister, your wish, I have fulfilled it for you." Before the tombstone, a small daisy sways in the wind. He knew that was me smiling. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.